The trading station was busy that day. Ships came and went. Aliens of all kinds walked through the wide halls. Some were tall with long arms. Some were short and round. Some had fur. Some had scales. And among them all, there were humans too. Captain Yuna walked slowly through the main market area. She was a woman of 32 years. Her black hair was tied back in a simple knot. Her eyes were sharp but kind. She wore the plain gray uniform of a cargo ship captain. Nothing fancy, nothing special, just a working woman looking for supplies. Her ship, the Horizon, needed food and fuel. It was a small freighter, old but reliable. Yuna had bought it 5 years ago with all her savings. Since then, she had traveled across the galaxy, carrying cargo from one world to another. It was a simple life. A good life. She stopped at a food stall and bought some dried fruit. The seller was a tall alien with blue skin and 4 eyes. He smiled at her, and she smiled back. That was the nice thing about trading stations. Everyone was welcome. Everyone could do business. It did not matter what species you were. As Yuna ate her fruit, she heard a commotion nearby. Loud voices, angry sounds. She turned to look. A group of aliens stood in a circle near the central fountain. They were Volari. Yuna knew them well. They looked like wolves, but they walked on 2 legs. Their fur was thick and gray. Their eyes were yellow and cold. They were pack creatures. Family meant everything to them, or so they said. Yuna moved closer. She wanted to see what was happening. In the center of the circle, she saw a small creature. It was a Volari cub. But something was wrong. This cub was much smaller than normal. Its silver fur was thin in some places. Its 6 legs were skinny and weak. It sat on the cold floor, shaking with fear. A large Volari male stood over the cub. He was the pack leader. Yuna could tell by the marks on his chest. 3 red lines painted in some kind of dye. He looked down at the cub with disgust in his eyes. "This one is no child of mine," the pack leader said. His voice was deep and harsh. "Look at it. Weak. Small. Useless. It cannot hunt. It cannot fight. It brings shame to our bloodline." The other Volari nodded their heads. They agreed with their leader. That was what pack creatures did. They followed. They obeyed. They did not question. The small cub made a soft crying sound. It looked up at the pack leader with big, sad eyes. It did not understand what was happening. It only knew that it was afraid. "Please," the cub said in a tiny voice. "Please, Father. I will try harder. I will be strong. Please do not leave me." The pack leader kicked dirt at the cub. "You are not my child. From this moment, you are nothing. You have no pack. You have no name. You are alone." The other Volari turned their backs on the cub. One by one, they walked away. They did not look back. They did not care. To them, the cub was already dead. Yuna felt anger rise in her chest. She had seen many things in her travels. She had met good people and bad people. She had seen kindness and cruelty. But this was something else. This was a family throwing away their own baby because it was different. The cub sat alone on the cold floor. The crowd around it began to move away. No one wanted to help. No one wanted to get involved. The cub was not their problem, but Yuna did not move away. She stood there and watched the small creature. It was so tiny, so afraid, so alone. She thought about her own life. When she was young, people had told her she was too small to be a pilot, too weak to run a ship, too foolish to start her own business. But she had proved them wrong. She had worked hard. She had never given up, and now she was the captain of her own ship. Maybe this cub could do the same. Maybe it just needed a chance. Yuna walked toward the cub. Her boots made soft sounds on the metal floor. The cub looked up at her with fear in its eyes. It tried to move away, but it was too weak to run. "Hey there," Yuna said softly. She got down on one knee so she was at the cub's level. "It is okay. I am not going to hurt you." The cub stared at her. It had never seen a human up close before. Humans were strange creatures. No fur, flat faces, only 4 limbs. But this human had a kind voice, a warm voice. "Are you hungry?" Yuna asked. She held out her hand. In her palm was a piece of the dried fruit she had bought earlier. The cub sniffed the air. It was hungry. Very hungry. The pack had not fed it well. They never did. Slowly, carefully, the cub moved forward. It took the fruit from Yuna's hand and ate it quickly. "Good," Yuna said with a smile. "You like that?" "Yes?" The cub made a small sound. It was not words, just a happy little noise. At that moment, the pack leader returned. He had been watching from a distance. Now he walked toward Yuna with an angry look on his face. "Human," he said. "What are you doing?" Yuna stood up. She faced the Volari without fear. He was bigger than her, stronger than her. But she was not afraid. "I am feeding a hungry child," she said simply. The pack leader laughed. It was not a nice laugh. It was cold and mean. "That thing is not a child. It is a mistake, a failure. You waste your food on garbage." Yuna felt her hands form into fists. She wanted to hit this alien. She wanted to hurt him for being so cruel. But she controlled herself. Violence would not help the cub. "If it is garbage," Yuna said, "then you do not mind if I take it?" The pack leader's yellow eyes went wide. He had not expected this. "You want that weak thing? What will you do with it? It cannot work. It cannot fight. It will only be a burden." End quote. Yuna looked down at the cub. It was looking up at her with hope in its eyes. Such small, beautiful eyes. "That is my problem," Yuna said. "Not yours." The pack leader thought for a moment. Then he shrugged his massive shoulders. "Fine. Take it. It means nothing to us. But do not come crying when it dies. Things like that always die. They are too weak to live." Yuna smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who knew a secret. "Your loss," she said. She bent down and gently picked up the cub. It was light. So very light. She could feel its heart beating fast against her chest. It was scared. But it did not run. It did not fight. It trusted her. Yuna turned and walked away from the pack leader. She did not look back. She had what she came for. Not the supplies she had planned to buy. Something better. Something more important. As she walked toward her ship, she held the cub close. It made soft sounds against her shoulder. Happy sounds. Safe sounds. "I am going to call you Bommy," Yuna said softly. "It means spring. A new beginning. Is that okay with you?" The cub made a little noise. It sounded like agreement. "Good," Yuna said. "Welcome to my crew, Bommy. Welcome to your new family." Behind them, the pack leader watched them go. He shook his head and laughed again. "Foolish human," he said to himself. "She will learn soon enough." But he was wrong. He was very, very wrong. And one day, he would understand just how wrong he had been. But that is a story for another time. Yuna walked through the crowded trading station with the small cub in her arms. People stared at her. Aliens of all kinds stopped and pointed. They whispered to each other. What was this human doing? Why was she carrying a rejected Volari cub? Had she lost her mind? Yuna did not care what they thought. She had made her choice. The cub needed help, and she would give it. As she walked, she used her communicator to call her ship. A friendly voice answered. "Captain, this is Taman. Is everything okay? You sound different." Taman was her engineer. He was a young man from Earth, only 25 years old. He had messy hair and a quick smile. He was good with machines. He could fix anything. And he had been with Yuna for 3 years now. She trusted him completely. "I am fine," Yuna said. "But I am bringing someone back to the ship. Tell Subin to get the medical bay ready." There was a pause. "Medical bay? Captain, are you hurt?" "No, just do it, Taman. I will explain when I get there." She ended the call and kept walking. The cub in her arms had stopped shaking. It was looking around with big, curious eyes. Everything was new to it. Everything was strange, but it was not afraid anymore. It felt safe with this human. Yuna arrived at the docking bay where the Horizon was waiting. It was an old ship, but it was home. The metal hull was scratched and dented from years of travel. The paint was fading in some places, but the engine was strong, and the life support systems were good. That was all that mattered. She walked up the boarding ramp and into the ship. The familiar smell of recycled air and machine oil greeted her. It was not a pleasant smell for most people, but for Yuna, it smelled like home. Taemin was waiting for her inside. He was wearing his usual work clothes, oil stains on his shirt, tools hanging from his belt. When he saw the cub in Yuna's arms, his eyes went wide. "Captain," he said slowly. "What is that?" "This is Bomi," Yuna said. "Our newest crew member." Taemin opened his mouth. Then he closed it. Then he opened it again. "I have many questions," he finally said. "I know. But first, let us make sure Bomi is healthy." "Where is Subin?" "In the medical bay, like you asked." Yuna nodded and walked down the corridor. Taemin followed her, still looking at the cub with confusion on his face. The medical bay was small but clean. White walls. Bright lights. A single examination table in the center. Subin was there, preparing her equipment. She was a woman of about 30 years. Short hair, serious eyes. She had been a doctor on a big hospital ship before joining Yuna's crew. She was very good at her job. When Subin saw the cub, she did not look surprised. She just nodded once and pointed to the examination table. "Put it there," she said. "I will check it over." Yuna gently placed Bomi on the table. The cub made a worried sound, but Yuna patted its head softly. "It is okay, Bomi. Subin is a friend. She is going to help you feel better." Subin moved quickly and carefully. She used her scanner to check the cub's health. She looked at its eyes, its ears, its 6 legs. She checked its heartbeat and its breathing. The whole time, Bomi sat very still. It seemed to understand that this human was trying to help. After a few minutes, Subin stepped back and looked at her scanner results. "Well?" Yuna asked. "How is our new friend?" Subin frowned. It was not a happy frown. It was the frown of a doctor who had found bad news. "The cub is malnourished," Subin said. "It has not been eating enough food. Its muscles are weak from lack of exercise. There are signs of stress and fear in its body chemistry." She paused. "This creature has been badly treated for a long time." Yuna felt anger rise in her chest again. She had suspected as much. The Volari pack had not just rejected this cub today. They had been cruel to it for its whole life. "Can you help it?" Yuna asked. Subin nodded slowly. "With good food, rest, and care. Yes. The cub is young. It can recover. But it will take time. Weeks. Maybe months. Then we will give it time." Taemin stepped forward. He had been quiet until now, just watching and listening. "Captain," he said carefully, "I need to ask. Why did you bring this cub onto our ship? We are a cargo vessel. We do not have much space or supplies. Taking care of a baby alien will be hard." Yuna looked at him. She understood his concern. He was not being mean. He was being practical. That was his job as an engineer, to think about problems and solutions. "I know it will be hard," Yuna said. "But I could not leave Bomi behind. Its own family threw it away like trash. They said it was weak and useless. They said it would only be a burden." She looked down at the small cub on the examination table. Bomi was looking back at her with those big, trusting eyes. "But I do not believe that," Yuna continued. "I think every life has value. I think everyone deserves a chance to grow and learn. The Volari gave up on this cub, but I will not." Taemin was quiet for a moment. Then he smiled. It was a warm, genuine smile. "You know what, Captain? You are right. We can make this work. I can build a small bed for Bomi in the cargo hold. It will not take much space." Subin nodded too. "I can create a special diet plan. Make sure Bomi gets all the nutrients it needs to grow strong. Yuna felt warmth spread through her heart. This was why she loved her crew. They were not just workers. They were family. Thank you, she said. Both of you. She picked up Bomi again and held the cub close. It made happy sounds against her chest. Now, Yuna said, we need to make this official. Taemin, bring me the crew manifest. Taemin's eyes went wide. The crew manifest? You mean you are actually going to register the cub as a crew member? Yes. Bomi is part of our family now. That needs to be official. Taemin laughed and shook his head. You are one crazy captain. But okay. I will get it. He left the medical bay and returned a few minutes later with a tablet computer. The crew manifest was on the screen. It showed the names of everyone on the ship. Captain Yuna, Engineer Taemin, Medical Officer Subin, 3 names, 3 humans. Yuna took the tablet and added a new entry at the bottom. Name, Bomi. Species, Volari. Position, crew member. Status, active. She saved the file and smiled. There, it is done. Bomi is officially part of our crew. The cub made a happy chirping sound. It did not understand what had just happened, but it could feel the love in the room. It could feel that it was wanted, that it belonged. Later that day, Yuna sat in the cockpit of her ship. The trading station was far behind them now. They were back in the darkness of space, traveling to their next destination. Bomi was sleeping in her lap. The cub had eaten a good meal. It had drunk clean water. It had been given soft blankets to rest on. For the first time in its short life, it was comfortable and safe. Yuna looked down at the sleeping cub and thought about what the pack leader had said. Your loss, she had told him. And she meant it. The Volari thought they were strong because they rejected weakness. They thought they were smart because they only kept the best members of their pack. But they were wrong. Humans were different. Humans did not throw away the weak. They helped them. They lifted them up. They gave them chances to grow. That was what made humans special. Not their strength. Not their speed. Not their technology. It was their hearts. Their ability to care for others. Even others who were different from them. Yuna stroked Bomi's soft fur. The cub made a happy sound in its sleep. Sleep well, little one, Yuna whispered. Tomorrow, your new life begins. And I promise you, it will be a good one. Outside the window, the stars shone bright against the black sky. The universe was vast and cold and dangerous. But inside the horizon, there was warmth. There was love. There was family. The Volari pack leader had called Bomi garbage. He had called it a mistake, a failure. But Yuna knew the truth. Bomi was not a failure. Bomi was a gift. And she was going to prove it to the whole galaxy. Their loss, indeed. 3 weeks had passed since Bomi joined the crew of the Horizon. In that time, everything had changed. The small cub was no longer skinny and weak. Good food and rest had made a difference. Its silver fur was thicker now, shining under the ship's lights. Its 6 legs were stronger. It could run and jump and climb. It was still small for a Volari, but it was healthy. That was what mattered. Subin checked on Bomi every day. She measured its weight and tested its health. Each time, the results were better than before. The cub is recovering well, Subin told Yuna one morning. At this rate, Bomi will be fully healthy in another month. Yuna smiled. That is good news. Bomi has been working hard, and it was true. Bomi worked very hard. From the first day on the ship, the cub had wanted to help. It did not want to be a burden. It wanted to prove its worth. Taemin was the first to discover Bomi's talents. One day, he was working on a broken machine in the engine room. It was a small pump that moved coolant through the ship's systems. The pump had stopped working, and Taemin could not figure out why. The problem is inside the pump, he said to himself. But I cannot reach it. The opening is too small for my hands. Bomi was watching him from nearby. The cub had taken to following Taman around the ship. It found the engineer interesting. All those tools, all those machines, all those strange sounds and lights. Bomi walked over to Taman and made a questioning sound. "Oh, hey there, little one," Taman said with a tired smile. "I am having trouble. See this pump? Something is stuck inside it. But I cannot reach in to fix it." Bomi looked at the pump. It looked at the small opening. It looked at its own paws. Then, without being asked, Bomi squeezed its front leg into the opening. "Wait," Taman said. "What are you doing?" Bomi moved its paw around inside the pump. It could feel something there. Something hard. Something that did not belong. It grabbed the object and pulled it out. It was a small piece of metal. A broken bolt. It had fallen into the pump and jammed the machinery. Taman stared at Bomi with wide eyes. Then he stared at the broken bolt. Then he looked back at Bomi. "You just fixed it," he said slowly. "You reached in there and fixed it." Bomi made a happy chirping sound. It was glad to help. From that day on, Taman started teaching Bomi about machines. The cub was a fast learner. It watched everything Taman did. It remembered every tool and every technique. Within a week, Bomi could identify dozens of different parts and explain what they did. "This cub is amazing," Taman told Yuna one evening. "It learns faster than any student I have ever seen. And those small paws can reach into places I never could. Bomi is actually useful in the engine room." Yuna was not surprised. She had always believed Bomi had potential. Now that potential was starting to show. But Bomi did not just learn about machines. It learned about other things too. Subin taught Bomi about medicine and health. She showed the cub how to use basic medical equipment. She taught it the names of different medicines and what they did. Bomi listened carefully to every lesson. It wanted to learn everything it could. "The cub has a good memory," Subin said. "And it is very gentle. Those paws that are so good with machines are also good for medical work. Bomi could be a fine medic someday." And Yuna taught Bomi about the ship itself. She showed the cub how to read star maps. She explained how the navigation system worked. She let Bomi sit in the cockpit and watch as she flew the ship through space. "You see those stars?" Yuna said one night, pointing out the window. "Each one is a sun. And around each sun, there might be planets. Some of those planets have people on them. Different kinds of people. Different kinds of life. The universe is very big, Bomi. There is so much to see." Bomi pressed its face against the window and looked at the stars with wonder in its eyes. The universe was big, but it did not feel scary anymore. Not when it had friends beside it. As the weeks went by, Bomi became a true member of the crew. It ate meals with the humans. It played games with them in the evenings. It slept in a cozy bed that Taman had built just for it. The ship was small and the crew was small, but it felt like a big family. One night, Yuna found Bomi sitting alone in the cargo hold. The cub was looking at a picture on the wall. It was a photo of the trading station where Yuna had found it. "Bomi," Yuna said softly, "are you okay?" The cub turned to look at her. Its eyes were sad. "I was thinking about my old pack," Bomi said. Its voice was still small, but it had learned many words in the past weeks. "I was thinking about why they did not want me." Yuna sat down next to the cub. She put her arm around it gently. "Some people cannot see the value in others," she said. "They only see what is on the outside. They see that you are small, so they think you are weak. They see that you are different, so they think you are wrong." Bomi looked down at its paws. "Maybe they were right. Maybe I am weak." "No," Yuna said firmly. "You are not weak. You are one of the strongest people I know." Bomi looked up at her with surprise. "But I am small. I cannot fight. I cannot hunt. Strength is not just about fighting and hunting. There are many kinds of strength. You are strong because you keep trying. You are strong because you want to learn. You are strong because you care about others." Yuna pointed to the engine room in the distance. "Taman says you are the best helper he has ever had." You fix things that no one else can fix. That is a kind of strength. She pointed to the medical bay. Subin says you learn medicine faster than any student she has ever taught. That is another kind of strength. She touched her own chest, where her heart was. And you have strength in here. You have kindness. You have love. You have hope. Those are the most important kinds of strength. Bomi was quiet for a long moment. Then it leaned against Yuna and made a soft, happy sound. Thank you, the cub whispered. Thank you for believing in me. Always, Yuna said. You are part of my crew now. Part of my family. And family never gives up on each other. They sat there together for a long time, looking at the stars through the cargo hold window. The universe was big and dark and full of dangers. But as long as they had each other, they could face anything. Later that night, the crew gathered in the small kitchen for dinner. Taemin had cooked a special meal. It was not fancy, but it was hot and delicious. To Bomi, Taemin said, raising his cup. Our newest crew member, and the best little helper in the galaxy. To Bomi, Subin agreed. Bomi made a happy chirping sound and tried to raise its own cup. It spilled a little water on the table. Everyone laughed, including Bomi. This was what family felt like. This was what home felt like. Not a place, not a planet. Just people who cared about each other. People who accepted each other. People who never gave up. The Volari pack had thrown Bomi away. They had called it weak and useless. They had said it would never amount to anything. But here, on this small ship with these kind humans, Bomi had found something more valuable than strength. It had found love. It had found belonging. It had found a place where it was wanted just as it was. The pack had lost something precious when they rejected Bomi. They just did not know it yet. But someday, they would learn. Someday, they would see just how wrong they had been. Until then, Bomi would keep learning, keep growing, keep proving that the smallest creature can have the biggest heart, and that was the truest strength of all. 2 months had passed since Bomi joined the crew. The small cub had grown stronger and smarter. It could help with engine repairs. It could assist with medical checkups. It could even read simple star maps. The crew of the Horizon had become a true family. But the universe is not always kind. And sometimes, danger comes when you least expect it. It happened in the deep space between 2 star systems. The Horizon was carrying a load of valuable cargo. Medical supplies for a colony on the outer rim. Important medicines that could save many lives. It was late at night by ship time. Yuna was sleeping in her cabin. Taemin was resting in the engine room, ready in case anything went wrong. Subin was in the medical bay, checking her equipment, and Bomi was in the cockpit. The cub liked to sit there at night and watch the stars. It found the view peaceful and beautiful, but tonight, something felt wrong. Bomi's ears stood up straight, its nose twitched. Volari had very good senses. They could hear sounds that humans could not hear. They could smell things from far away. And right now, Bomi was sensing something bad. There was a smell in the air, a strange smell. It did not belong on the ship. It was the smell of hot metal and burning fuel. The smell of another ship, a ship that was getting close. Then Bomi heard it. A soft humming sound. Very faint. Most creatures would not notice it at all. But Bomi noticed. It was the sound of an engine. Not the Horizon's engine. A different engine, a dangerous engine. Bomi ran through the ship as fast as its 6 legs could carry it. It burst into Yuna's cabin and jumped on her bed. Captain, wake up. Yuna's eyes snapped open. She saw Bomi's worried face above her. What is it, Bomi? What is wrong? A ship is coming. I can hear it. I can smell it. It is trying to be quiet. But I found it. They are coming for us. Yuna did not waste time asking questions. She trusted Bomi completely. If the cub said danger was coming, then danger was coming. She grabbed her communicator and called the rest of the crew. Taemin, Subin, battle stations. We have incoming. Within minutes, the whole crew was in the cockpit. Taemin checked the sensors. At first, he saw nothing. Are you sure, Bomi? He asked. The sensors do not show anything. They are hiding, Bomi said. They have turned off their lights. They are moving slowly. But I can still hear them. They are there. They are there. Yuna believed the cub. She adjusted the sensors, looking harder. And then she saw it. A dark shape against the stars. A ship with no lights. A ship that was trying to sneak up on them. Pirates, Yuna said grimly. They want our cargo. Pirates were common in deep space. They attacked small ships like the Horizon. They took cargo and sometimes killed the crew. They were dangerous and cruel. What do we do? Subin asked. We run, Yuna said. We cannot fight them. Their ship is bigger than ours. Our only chance is to escape. She grabbed the ship's controls and pushed the engines to full power. The Horizon shot forward like an arrow, but the pirates had been waiting for this. Their ship came to life. Lights turned on. Weapons charged up. They chased after the Horizon with incredible speed. They are faster than us, Taman shouted. We cannot outrun them. A blast of energy shot past the cockpit window. The pirates were shooting at them. Another blast hit the side of the ship. The whole vessel shook. We are hit, Subin said. There is damage to the lower deck. More blasts came. More hits. The Horizon was being torn apart. Smoke filled the corridors. Alarms screamed everywhere. Then, the worst thing happened. A direct hit to the engine room. The lights flickered. The engines groaned. And then, they stopped. The Horizon floated dead in space. No power, no movement, no hope. The pirate ship pulled up beside them. A rough voice came through the communication system. This is Captain Dex of the pirate vessel Shadowclaw. You are beaten. Surrender your cargo, and we will let you live. Fight us, and we will kill you all. Yuna looked at her crew. Taman was bleeding from a cut on his head. Subin was holding her arm, which was hurt, and Bomi stood between them. Its silver fur covered in dust and smoke. We cannot give up the cargo, Yuna said quietly. Those medicines are for sick people, children, families. If we give them to pirates, people will die. But if we fight, we will die, Taman said. There was a long silence. No one knew what to do. Then Bomi spoke up. I can fix the engines. Everyone looked at the small cub. What? Yuna said. The engines are broken. But I know where the problem is. I can hear it. There is a cracked pipe in the power system. It is in a very small space. Too small for human hands. But I can reach it. Taman shook his head. Even if you can reach it, we do not have time. The pirates will board us any minute. Then someone needs to slow them down, Bomi said. Keep them talking. Give me time. Yuna understood. It was a crazy plan. A dangerous plan. But it was the only plan they had. Do it, she said to Bomi. Fix the engines. We will keep the pirates busy. Bomi nodded and ran toward the engine room. Its small body disappeared into the smoke and darkness. Yuna turned on the communication system and spoke to the pirates. This is Captain Yuna of the Horizon. We are considering your offer. Please give us a few minutes to discuss with our crew. The pirate captain laughed. You have 5 minutes. Then we board your ship and take what we want. And if you make us angry, we take your lives too. 5 minutes. That was all Bomi had. In the engine room, Bomi found the damage quickly. The main power conduit had a crack in it. Energy was leaking out. Without power, the ship could not move or fight. The crack was deep inside the machinery. There was a small tunnel that led to it. A tunnel only 10 inches wide. Far too small for any adult human, but not too small for Bomi. The cub squeezed into the tunnel. It was dark and hot. Sparks flew around it. Every breath hurt. But Bomi kept going. It had to save its family. It reached the cracked pipe. The damage was bad. Very bad. But Bomi had learned from Taman. It knew what to do. Using its small paws, Bomi worked on the pipe. It applied sealant from a tube it had carried with it. It twisted wires together. It rerouted power through a backup system. It was hard work, delicate work. But Bommy did not make a single mistake. Back in the cockpit, Yuna was running out of time. The pirates were getting impatient. "Your time is up," the pirate captain growled. "Prepare to be boarded." Yuna was about to respond when something wonderful happened. The lights came back on. The engines roared to life. The whole ship hummed with power. Bommy had done it. "Now, Taman," Yuna shouted. Taman had been ready at the weapons console. He fired everything the Horizon had at the pirate ship. The surprise attack caught the pirates off guard. Their shields were down. Their weapons were not ready. The blasts tore into their hull. At the same time, Yuna pushed the engines to maximum. The Horizon shot away from the damaged pirate ship like a bullet from a gun. The pirates tried to chase them, but their ship was hurt. They fell behind, and then they were gone, lost in the darkness of space. The crew of the Horizon had survived. Bommy crawled out of the engine tunnel. The small cub was covered in grease and burns. Its fur was singed. Its paws were hurt. But it was alive. And it was smiling. Yuna ran to the cub and held it tight. "You did it," she said. "You saved us all." Taman and Subin joined the hug. The whole crew held each other and cried with relief. "I told you I could help," Bommy said in a tired voice. "I told you I was not useless." "Useless?" Taman laughed through his tears. "Bommy, you are the most useful person on this ship. You heard the pirates before our sensors did. You fit into a space none of us could reach. You fixed an engine that I could not fix. Without you, we would all be dead." Subin nodded. "The Volari thought you were worthless because you were small. But your size saved us today. Your senses saved us. Your courage saved us." Yuna held the cub closer. "You proved your worth, Bommy. Not that you ever needed to prove anything to us. But now the whole universe knows what we already knew. You are special. You are important. You are a hero." Bommy closed its eyes and rested in Yuna's arms. It was tired, so very tired. But it was also happy. Happier than it had ever been. It had found a family that loved it. It had proven that it was not weak. And it had saved the people it cared about most. That was worth everything. As the Horizon flew through the stars toward safety, the small cub slept peacefully. And the crew that had once been strangers were now bound together forever by something stronger than blood. Love, trust, family. That was what they had. That was what the Volari pack had thrown away. And that was something the pirates could never take from them. 6 months had passed since the pirate attack. The Horizon had traveled to many worlds since then. It had carried cargo across the galaxy. It had helped colonies in need, and its crew had become famous in certain circles. People talked about the small cargo ship that had escaped the Shadowclaw pirates. They talked about the brave captain and her loyal crew, and they talked about the little Volari cub that had saved everyone with its courage and skill. Bommy was not so little anymore. The cub had grown. Not big like other Volari. It would never be that big. But it was healthy and strong. Its silver fur was thick and beautiful. Its 6 legs were fast and sure, and its eyes, once filled with fear, now shone with confidence. The Horizon had a new mission today. They were carrying medical supplies to a small space station near the Volari homeworld. It was a routine job. Nothing special, but when Yuna saw the destination, she felt something in her heart. A strange feeling. Like the universe was trying to tell her something. They arrived at the space station without any problems. Yuna guided the ship into the docking bay and shut down the engines. "Taman, you stay with the ship," she said. "Subin, you come with me to deliver the cargo. Bommy, you can explore the station if you want. Just be careful." Bommy nodded. It had been to many space stations before. It knew how to take care of itself. The crew went their separate ways. Yuna and Subin carried the medical supplies to the station's hospital. Taman started routine maintenance on the ship, and Bommy walked through the station, looking at the shops and the people. The station was crowded today. Many ships had docked here. Traders, travelers, families on their way to new homes. And among them, Bomi saw something that made it stop cold. Volari. A whole group of them, gray fur, yellow eyes, walking through the station in a tight pack formation. Bomi's heart began to beat faster. It recognized these Volari. It knew that mark on the leader's chest. 3 red lines. The mark of its old pack. The mark of its father. Bomi wanted to run. It wanted to hide. But then it remembered Yuna's words from long ago. You are strong. You have kindness. You have hope. Those words gave Bomi courage. It stood still and watched the pack approach. The pack leader saw Bomi at the same moment. His yellow eyes went wide, then narrow, then angry. You, he growled. The runt, the reject. You are still alive? The other pack members gathered behind their leader. They looked at Bomi with surprise and disgust. Bomi stood tall. Well, as tall as it could. It was still shorter than any of them. But it did not feel small. Not anymore. Hello, father, Bomi said. Its voice was calm and clear. It has been a long time, the pack leader snarled. Do not call me that. You are not my child. I threw you away. You should be dead by now. But I am not dead, Bomi said simply. I am alive. I have a crew. I have a family. And I am happy. The pack members whispered to each other. They had heard stories about a Volari cub on a human ship, a cub that had become famous for saving its crew from pirates. They had not believed those stories. Now they were not so sure. Happy? The pack leader laughed coldly. Living with humans? Being their pet? That is not happiness. That is shame. I am not their pet, Bomi said. I am their friend. Their family. They treat me better than you ever did. Anger flashed in the pack leader's eyes. No one talked back to him. No one challenged him. Especially not a runt he had thrown away. He stepped forward, raising one massive paw. I will teach you respect, little one. But before he could move further, a voice cut through the air. I would not do that if I were you. Everyone turned to look. Yuna was walking toward them. Subin was beside her. And behind them, more people gathered. Station security, other traders, other travelers, all watching the scene. Yuna stepped between the pack leader and Bomi. She was much smaller than the Volari. She had no claws, no fangs, but she showed no fear. This cub, Yuna said, pointing to Bomi, is a member of my crew. A legal crew member with full rights under galactic law. If you touch one hair on Bomi's fur, you will answer to me, to my crew, and to the law. The pack leader glared at her. This is pack business. Humans should not interfere. Bomi is not part of your pack anymore, Yuna said. You made that very clear 6 months ago. You threw this cub away like garbage. You called it weak. You called it useless. Well, I have news for you. She smiled. It was not a friendly smile. It was the smile of someone who had already won. This cub that you threw away saved my entire crew from pirates. This cub that you called weak fixed an engine that no one else could fix. This cub that you said would die is alive and thriving, and worth more than your whole pack put together. The pack members shifted uncomfortably. They could see the people watching. They could feel the mood of the crowd turning against them. One of the younger pack members stepped forward. Is it true? The stories about the pirate attack? Bomi nodded. It is true. I heard the pirates coming before the sensors detected them. I crawled into the engine and repaired the power conduit. I did what my captain needed me to do, because that is what family does. The young Volari looked at Bomi with new eyes, with respect, but the pack leader was not impressed. His pride would not let him admit he was wrong. You got lucky, he said. Once. That does not make you strong. That does not make you worthy. Yuna shook her head. You still do not understand, do you? Strength is not about size or power. It is about heart. It is about courage. It is about being there for the people who need you. She put her hand on Bommy's shoulder. This cub has more strength in one paw than you have in your whole body. Because Bommy knows what really matters. Love. Loyalty. Family. The pack leader had no response. For the first time in his life, he did not know what to say. Yuna turned to walk away. Bommy followed her. But then the cub stopped and looked back at the pack one last time. I used to want you to accept me, Bommy said quietly. I used to dream about coming back and proving myself to you. But now I know the truth. I do not need your acceptance. I do not need your approval. I have something better. Bommy looked at Yuna, at Subin standing nearby, at the direction of the ship where Taemin was waiting. I have a family that loves me for who I am, not for who they want me to be. And that is worth more than any pack. The cub turned and walked away with its head held high. Yuna walked beside it. Subin followed. The crowd parted to let them through. And some people even clapped. The pack leader stood there alone in the middle of the station. His pack members were looking at him differently now. Some with doubt. Some with shame. The young one who had spoken earlier broke away from the group and ran after Bommy. Wait. The young Valari called. Please wait. Bommy stopped and turned. I am sorry, the young one said, for how we treated you. You did not deserve that. None of the things they said about you were true. Bommy smiled gently. Thank you. That means a lot. I hope you have a good life, the young one continued. With your human family. You deserve it. I will, Bommy said. And maybe someday, things will change in our pack. Maybe someday, no cub will ever be thrown away again. The young Valari nodded slowly, then returned to the pack. But something had changed. A seed had been planted. A new way of thinking. Yuna and Bommy returned to the horizon together. Taemin was waiting at the boarding ramp. I heard what happened, he said. The whole station is talking about it. Bommy, you were amazing. Bommy made a happy sound. I just told the truth. They walked onto the ship together. The doors closed behind them. And soon, the horizon was flying away from the station, back into the stars. In the cockpit, Yuna sat in her captain's chair. Bommy sat beside her, looking out at the universe. How do you feel? Yuna asked. Good. Bommy said. I thought seeing them again would hurt. But it did not. Because I know who I am now. I know where I belong. Yuna smiled and reached over to pat the cub's head. You belong here. With us. Always. Bommy leaned against her and made a contented sound. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly in every direction. So many worlds. So many adventures waiting. But for Bommy, the best adventure was already here. On this small ship, with these wonderful humans, the pack had called it a reject, a failure, a mistake. But Yuna had seen something different. She had seen potential. She had seen worth. She had seen a soul that just needed a chance to shine. And now, Bommy was shining brighter than any star. Their loss, her gain, forever.